I only had a few days in Alaska, and if you aren't aware just how big Alaska is, grab a map. Anchorage alone has plenty to see, and 3 days ain't nearly enough. So on this trip, I concentrated on one thing and one thing only: hiking. Not the traditional type hiking, mind you. I'm talking out of the box type hiking. How does hiking on an iceberg sound? Yeah, sounds badass, doesn't it? Well, that didn't happen. My shoestring budget made that little pipe dream problematic, so I went the poor man's route and found a glacier to climb on. That's like an iceberg, but on land. Okay, it's day 2 of my second attempt to explore Matanuska Glacier. We're at the entrance of the glacier right now, so we're gonna make our way down to the glacier and explore that. There are a few ice caves down there, but apparently they're dangerous because it's late in the season and the caves are starting to break up, so there's an inherent danger of getting hurt. The guide suggested that I send my drone down the cave instead, so we'll see how that goes. Matanuska Glacier is a magnificent piece of ice that sits in a valley. Unlike many glaciers this day and age, this one is not receding. We visited the glacier in the springtime, and a lot of the snow had already melted, which left the ground between the trailhead and the glacier in a state of what can only be described as muck. My objective at that point was to get through that part of the trail without soiling my boots. That's not an easy feat when you consider the ground was 3.5 inches of mush. Someone at the park got the bright idea of laying planks down so visitors wouldn't dirty their shoes. Unfortunately, the planks didn't cover all the muddy areas. Eventually, the mud gave way to the snow and the hike became much more pleasant. This is the mouth of the glacier, and we've passed the point where the self-guided tour ends. This part they say travel at your own risk. With each step, the area began to transform into a frozen wasteland with only the footsteps of those that came before us to use as a trail. I stopped in awe and gazed at what had to be one of the purest forms of water on the planet.
Take care.
I'll explain why I looked at her when she said take care in a minute. This spot brought out the inner child as I suddenly got the urge to show off my rhythm. Who says I can't dance? How can you look at that beautiful blue chunk of ice and not be thirsty? Does that not look like the best glass of water you will ever have in your life? The farther in the glacier we went, the more beauty it revealed. As I mentioned before, it was in the springtime, so a lot of the snow was melting and left some slick spots. It's dangerous out here. Each step gets a bit more dodgier. The trail becomes less and less obvious. You gotta traverse this little lake here. I'm gonna check it out, and then if it's safe, we'll move on. Take care. Take care is a saying that I have between me and my camera woman, which has the undertone meaning of don't fall on your ass. First of all, let me be the first to tell you, before you walk on a frozen body of water, make damn certain that it'll support your weight, or you might end up swimming. Fortunately for me, this body of water wasn't very deep, but deep enough to submerge my feet in freezing temperatures. Abort. I can definitely feel the ice starting to crack. We may have to find another way to go across. Instead, we took the high road. Now, at first glance, this hill doesn't look very big, but as you will soon see, looks can be deceiving.
Now, we had no business being in this area. There were signs all around that stated we needed a guide beyond this point, but that didn't stop us. The proper equipment definitely would have come in handy as it became more and more difficult to scale this hill. At one point, I was on my hands and knees trying to get to the top. Just when it seemed like everything was going well and I was just about at the summit is when it happened. Uh-oh, that can't be good.
Oh my God, the hill was intense. Totally worth it. All right, so we found a way around that lake. Arliss made it with unscathed. Me, I suffered some casualties. I broke through the ice. My feet are now wet. My socks are now soggy. Feet are cold, but it's worth it. Let me show you what we just witnessed. It's amazing.
This area was like that moment in time was frozen. The peaceful and tranquil surroundings were astonishing as we tried to take it all in. After hours of hiking, we found what we believed to be an ice cave. But after close examination, we learned that it was only a crevasse.
All right, so we found our first ice cave, and we're gonna go in it and explore it. I'm excited. Hopefully I won't die. All right, so we're going to the very end of the crevasse to see just how far it goes. So I'm gonna keep the camera woman here for her safety in case I don't make it back. I love you, Mom. All right, here we go. So, I'm told that this is very slippery, so I'm gonna try to caution. We're looking for falling projectiles because this is in a state of melting, so I don't want to get hurt. The blue just gets better the farther back you go. The camera doesn't really do it justice, but it is gorgeous back here, man.
Eventually, I had to turn around because it was caved in at the back, but it was still an amazing sight to see.
Souvenir. All right, well, we made it to the glacier and back successfully. The only casualty were muddy shoes. I can live with that, but we'll have to buy a new pair of shoes before I get on the airplane and fly back to Seattle. That's okay. We made it safely. Good job.